Welcome, benvenuto, hunying, benvenuto. The world is getting ready to be set on fire with the new podcast, Souls of Solidarity, coming to the Mystic 7 Record and Film YouTube channel August 22nd, 2020 at 8 p.m. We're a show where you, as an independent artist, musician, writer, filmmaker, or producer, can have a voice. Whether it be a book, new music, a film, or script you've written, we're there for you. We will cover major social issues, people in business with heartwarming stories. So join us, grab a drink, a joint, or whatever your fancy. Buckle up for the roller coaster ride of the century. Join us to the journey of the center of entertainment. New independent artists, upcoming filmmakers, new and exciting authors share their voices. Again, join us every Saturday after 8 p.m. for Souls of Solidarity.
Good afternoon, or should I say good evening.
Yes, good evening, good afternoon.
And I want to welcome everybody to the new year, 2021. This is our first show for the starting of the new year, and we have an interesting guest on today. We're going to talk a little bit about the cannabis industry, and she's one of the pioneers that's making her way into the industry, along with other things that I'm going to let her talk about and discuss. So anyway, I want to introduce our guest today, Jeenah Huh. Did I say that right, Huh?
Yes, Huh.
Huh, okay, Jeenah Huh. And so, Jeenah, you're a big part of this cannabis stuff and the growth of it and everything. So give me a little bit about your history, your background, how you got into moving to this point.
Well, if we want to go back before the cannabis industry, first of all, I was a single mother. And also I was in the real estate, escrow and loan and investments. I've done that for a very, very long time. And then around 2007, that's when there was a huge real estate crash.
I was part of it. I know.
Yeah, it was pretty big. And at that time, I had some banker friends who already warned a few of us, letting us know there's a big crash coming. So, making plans for that, and especially people who's been in that industry for a long time. If something crashes, that means that we got to start all over, and we don't even know how long it's going to take to get everything picked up the way it's supposed to. So from there, I decided, you know what? Well, during that time, instead of just staying quiet and just doing something else, like I would usually do, get a different job and stay quiet for a while. But you know what? As a single mother, you gotta do what you gotta do. So I decided to invest money on a restaurant. And
restaurant.
Yes, a sushi restaurant in Beverly Hills. And I mean, me being in the real estate industry, I should have known better to look further into it and do my little, research before starting up anything. But, at that time, I loved food and something like doing a sushi restaurant in that area really interested me because, with the area, well, like I said, the area, and not only that, it's you get to make people happy with the food that you serve, at the restaurant. So I decided to give it a try, and oh man, that was a nightmare. But I ended up.
Where did you have your restaurant at? What area of LA?
It Right on 3rd and San Vicente. So
Oh,
it's
okay.
right by La Cienega.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
there. You know, we're more of a. I mean, that restaurant is more like a family restaurant, and we have too many hip, you know, more premium sushi restaurants all around us. So, of course, you know, the younger crowd back then was a lot more into sushi and, you know, more into that more, you know, modern style sushi, you know. And so because of that, you know, we didn't have a lot of family oriented people living in that area. It was more younger, you know, people who wanted to go out and drink and stuff like that. So
The hip crowd.
yeah, so I mean, you know what, that was my first business that I came in with and spent so much money. It's like it wasn't going anywhere. So I had to do what I had to do. I had to let it go. And that was a huge dip. It was. But you know what? I consider it as a good lesson because now I have experience in the restaurant business, you know, in the industry.
Yeah.
So, you know, when it comes to restaurants, and it's different from, you know, when you go in and eat, you know, the back part of it of a restaurant. I mean, gosh, if you're not careful, you can basically lose a lot. Okay, and that's what happened to me. So moving on.
The
I
restaurant industry is set up for 90% failure.
Oh yeah, yeah. You know, unless you have a lot of money in the back end and you can support it, and you know, you got some awesome chefs, you know, partnering up with you. And if you go that route, it's better. But then there's a chef working for you. I tell you, it's different.
Yeah, I had a friend who what he would do is he would take restaurants that were going under or bankrupt and he'd get them for 10 cents on a dollar. And then
Mm,
he'd turn around and turn them around. But he had a formula that he used to be able to build his restaurant. So he ended up owning over 9 restaurants and became a multimillionaire.
mm.
Yeah.
That's a smart idea. It's just like, you know, when the real estate industry, you know, went under. Gosh, you know, like all the properties, the values just went under, and people with money back then, they just bought properties like nothing. Seriously, I mean, they made so much money on buying all those, you know, that basically went under. You know,
Yeah.
it's able to really buy so many of those properties and basically flip it when the economy was up and running, you know. Because,
That's what I should have bought more. I did buy some property then, but I actually almost went bankrupt behind the real estate industry because some of my mortgages were more than what the property was worth.
uh-huh.
And so, but I just kind of waited it out. And then one of my houses, I started renting to the snowbirds that
Mhm.
would come down from Canada during the winter, and they would pay me 3 times the amount of rent per month, and that would cover my mortgage for the year. So I was able to sustain it, you know. But there was a point there where two of my apartment buildings, I had 10 vacancies in one, and I had 9 vacancies in another. And I
Mm.
said, "Oh my God, I'm about to go broke here." But luckily, I made my way through it. So, you know,
Uh-huh.
so I'm able to move on. But
Right.
so, so what happened after your restaurant? What did you do then?
Well, so right afterwards, you know, since I had been in the real estate and investment industry, it was pretty easy trying, you know, getting a job as a property director, you know.
Mm.
So what I did was I called one of my clients who ran commercial properties,
Uh,
and I mean, it came in handy because he needed somebody, to manage all his commercial buildings in downtown. So that's what I ended up doing. And there were few commercial buildings that he bought in downtown, which at that time when I just went to work, I immediately had to go and basically manage those buildings that he bought.
Uh-huh.
And one of the buildings that I managed, it was a jewelry building in downtown LA. And we were basically doing a walkthrough.
Uh-huh.
And 14th floor, you can actually smell the strong weed smell, right? It's just, you just can't get away from it, right? And I was just like, what is this smell? And let me remind you that back then, for me, weed was just like everything else, cocaine, meth, and it was drugs, right? That's the way, we were taught. And so for me, as a working mother and everything, I never thought of touching that. But so I was totally against it. And then
you were a saint.
Yeah, I'm still a saint.
Okay.
So, and then what I told him was, what is this smell? I don't think this is legal. Where's this coming from? Is somebody smoking in here? I mean, the smell was so pungent. Like on the 14th, that was the last floor, 14th floor. It was like crazy. So he was like, no, actually, on the 14th floor, there's one of the offices is using, one of the guys are using it for a dispensary. I was like, what the heck is a dispensary? And he's like, well, they sell legal weed medically. I was like, no, that can't not be right. I was like, he have all his licenses, and he was like, yes. And so I actually went and knocked on his door, and I said, we just, bought the property. We're taking over the property, and we're doing a walkthrough. And, do you have a license for this? And he's like, yes, I do. So I was like, okay, gather it up and bring it down to my office.
Uh-huh.
So he brings all his documents, right? And so I send those documents to our company attorney, and he checks it. And it was like an hour later, literally.
Uh-huh.
And he calls me back, and he's like, Jeenah, this is all legit. And I was like, what? Legit? What do you mean legit? And he was like, yeah, LA has this thing called, I think it was SB 420, where they have pre-ICOs, pre-ICO licensings for medical purposes, right? So they said you have to not a client, but a patient, that's what they call it. There were like special words for it. If a patient comes in, they have to bring in their recommendation, which I have no idea what the heck a recommendation was. So I was thinking, okay, you're bringing a prescription basically, right? He's like, something like that, but not entirely. So I was like, okay. Anyways,
is that when they had to have a medicinal card or something, medical card to?
Yes. It's like a medicinal card. Yes. So, people who has anxiety, some type of, like illness, whatever it is, it was all approved for the cannabis or, for so I told him, you know what, this is very interesting. That is crazy how they can medically approve it. It must be doing something for them to medically approve it. So I was like, how can I get more information on this? I mean, what do I search? You know, I don't want them to think that I'm a drug dealer or anything.
You
So,
just heard cha-ching.
yes.
That's the Asian in you.
Yeah. You know what? I am gonna turn on this light because I think it's getting dark over here.
Oh, okay.
Pause a second.
All right.
All
All right.
right.
Now that you got the light adjustment, you can continue.
Yeah. And so our company attorney basically says, hey, I have a friend who's, you know, been doing this for 3 years now. And he knows a lot about the medical cannabis. I was like, wow, can you introduce me? And so the introduction was made, and I talked to him, and he told me the steps that I need to do, you know, to get something like this. But I heard that it was really, really hard, right? Because it's already been given. The licenses have been given. And so I asked him, so what cities, you know, can we do it all over the city? He's like, no. Right now, currently, it's just County of LA.
Now,
And
was this before they legalized marijuana through the whole state?
yes, it was way before. So a lot of the rules and regulation wasn't really placed, you know, firmly.
Right.
In the city, because honestly, I don't think they really knew what they were doing, you know, because they're giving out all these licenses, but at the same time, where are the retail people gonna get the inventory, right? That means you have to have a cultivation site for you to, you know, distribute to the retail. So I didn't understand how all that went. And then so now I was being told that you kind of have to go towards the black market now, right? So I was just like, whoa, black market, that sounds dangerous, right?
Right.
And at the same time, I was like, you know what? You got to know your streets, you know, for you to succeed, right? I mean, you can't just be connected to just one line, right?
Right.
If you want to succeed, you got to tap into all three lines. So I was like, let me look deeper into this. So the attorney, we became friends, and he introduced me to one of his clients who owned a hydro store, okay, hydroponics. And he was doing it pretty big. One of the first ones doing it big, and Long Beach, right? So anyways, so we decided, okay, you know what? Let me see what I can do. Let me see what I should do, okay? And what we did was I decided, you know what? I'm gonna have to tap into this black market and see what the game is about, you know? And so what I did was I got introduced to the guy who owned the hydroponic store, right? He introduced me to one of his customers.
Explain to our listeners who don't know what a hydroponic store is.
Hydroponic store is just like gardening supplies, you know, anything that you need to grow anything.
Okay.
Yes. So, you know, water pipes, gloves, you know, what do you call that? Nutrients, pots, soil, everything that you need. That's what a hydroponic place would have. Okay. So everything that I needed, I mean, he provided me over there. I didn't even have to do my own research on it, you know, because he was already serving a lot of customers that were master growers. So they were doing a lot of experimenting. At that time, it wasn't, you know, indoor grow was let's just say super premium, super premium, because number one, it costs so much money, you know, with the rent, with the warehouse and the fixtures. And number one thing was probably the smell, controlling the smell. Okay, because it's not like you know, a lot of the places. I mean, it was very small amount of places that had the license to do any kind of medical marijuana stuff. Okay.
This isn't like a chocolate store where you could smell the candy and stuff.
So you have to watch your back, literally. Like literally, you have to watch your back, and you have to be very careful. Don't tell anybody. You know, it's just like you know, you're doing everything tiptoe, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the customer, the master grower that the hydroponic owner introduced me to, he was handicapped. He had one leg, and he was doing this about 75 light grow with his wife. And you know, honestly, him and his other fellow growers, you know, what they do is they grow 1 to 2 strains and they master it. That's how they are, you know. They're like organic growers. So so I learned from him, and honestly, the way he taught me, I really respect him, because with these, you know, nowadays everybody just Google search and YouTube, and one thing he told me not to do is that.
Oh, really?
Do not look it up, okay?
Right.
And he said, if you want to learn, you have to do your research on your own. Go look at books on you know, on how to grow the cannabis plants, right?
Yeah.
And I know, yes, they can grow like a snap, right? I mean, they grow just like money growing on trees. I mean, that's what it is. So I was like, oh man, this is beautiful. Honestly, before I became a cultivator, I was a black thumb. I mean, because I was a you know, like an office person, not an office person, but you know, like in the professional world, right? So you don't have time to grow plants and stuff like that. And so, you know, if I get gifts from you know, some of my clients, whether it's flowers or plants, I swear it always died. Okay. And so I was like, oh,
that's like
man.
me too. I don't have any, like any fresh plants that I have to have somebody come in and take care of them, because I'll kill them. I mean, I have to do artificial.
So the grower, he's like, actually the master grower, he's basically looking at me, and he said, you know what, Jeenah, you think it's easy, right? But it's not. It's really time consuming. It's gonna be more harder. He's like, you have kids? I was like, yes, I have 2. And he was like, okay, you know, since you have a experience in raising your kids, it's just like that, but starting all over. Okay, but these plants are very needy. Okay, that means no vacation, nothing. Okay.
Wow.
Like you have to watch over these girls, like, you know. So and by the way, when I say girls, that means plants. Okay, that's what I refer them as, my girls.
So you had to become a horticulturist, as they call it.
Yes. So, you know, I would spend time at bookstores, just sitting there reading into it, and also everything that he taught me. And the way he taught me was very cutthroat. You know, he's like, I'm not gonna you know, babysit you. Basically, is whatever I tell you, you write it down. I'm not gonna read it, right? So I was like, wow, you know. So he was like, okay, now we're gonna start. Here's a seed, right? I'm gonna give you 5 seeds. Okay, you kill them. That's it. You're done. Okay.
That's pressure.
Yeah. So he's like, I'm gonna tell you exactly what to do. So he's like, do this, then this, okay? And then I was like, okay. So I'm like, you know, but another thing you don't want to do is try to open it up, check every time. Leave it alone, right? So I was like, okay, I left it alone a few days. I'm just like, oh, I hope it's fresh, you know? And then boom, all 5 of them sprouted. So I was like, yes. So
So
next
now,
day,
did you use sunlight or do you use a lamp?
no, absolutely nothing. No
Really?
light. Yes. Okay.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so afterwards, he was like, okay, I want you to clean up your closet now. Okay. Make a small space for it. I was like, what? In my closet? Man, that's kind of ghetto. That's what my brother used to do. I was like, are you sure? You know? And he's like, yes. Okay. So I was like, all right. So I make a small space in the closet, and basically he tells me what type of light to get, you know, and I set it up, and, you know, it's like, I'm not going to teach you how to install anything. You figure it out. Right. I was like, wow, this guy. I was like, all right. So I'm like, you know, trying to figure things out. And then, you know, I get it to work. You know, and for the stage 2, I passed, right? So
Yeah.
he's like, okay, you're doing pretty well. So I was like, thank you. So he was like, okay, stage 3, go in your garage. How much space do you have? So I was like, I have a pretty good space. So he's like, I want you to go to the hydro store and buy this size tent, okay? It's like a small tent greenhouse, basically.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so you can set it up in the garage or in your room. You know, a lot of people uses it. So I buy one of those, and honestly, I didn't want to, you know, when it comes to, you know, like spending money on the things that we need, right?
Right.
I want to budget it really close and use more effectively. So, you know, like a lot of the people, they go all out, but I didn't want to go all out because I know there's going to be more than stage 4, right?
Oh, yeah.
So I thought I was going to be like, it was going to be like, okay, now I want you to get a bigger space, right? So, you know, I wanted to save that for the bigger space. So what I did was I got everything set up, and those seeds, those 5 seeds actually became about 15 big mother plants.
Oh, really?
Yes. And so the way I did it was when they were a certain size, right? He told me that's where the word cloning came up. I was like, what's cloning, right? And then he was like, look, with one seed, right? With this one seed, I could make unlimited amount of money. I was like, how so? And he goes, with this one seed grows what? A plant, right? And then that plant becomes a tree, right? And then you start cloning off the trees, right? It's like when a mother have a child. It's just like that, right?
Yeah.
And you know, and then you take care of it just like you did with the sprouts, right? With the mother seeds, and then, but it's more, it's like a shortcut, basically, right? You don't have to wait until it sprouts. But then using that seed, what he taught me was the seed is the strong genetic if you start from the seed. And then now if you you know, cut clones from the mother, from there, again, I have to see which ones are the strongest ones because they all don't grow the same. Even though it came from the same mother plant, they're all different. Okay.
It's like kids. You have 10 kids. Some of them are going to be strong. Some aren't going to be quite as strong. Some of them are more athletic than the others.
It's like puppies. You know, there's runts and then there's the strong and healthy.
So how many seeds can you get from like one plant?
Well, that's okay. So one plant, you can get seriously unlimited seeds. Now, the way you do seeds is it's a whole nother,
Do you have to
session.
germinate them?
You do have to germinate them, but then it's actually really easy to, it's just like, it's funny, but there's a lot of male plants, right? And when you can tell the difference, they're male plants, because when they sprout, right?
Uh-huh.
The flowers are a little bit different. Okay. And the seeds the way it pops out, it's different it's kind of like, it has balls.
Well, let's hope every male has balls.
So yeah, so that's, and then females, of course, yeah, they're very important. So you put all the males in one room and put a few females, boom, that's it. That's all it takes.
That sounds like gangbanging to me.
Yes.
15 males and 3 female seeds. Good God.
But that's also how they make hybrids.
Really?
Yes, that's how they made it. Is you get the strong mother plant, right?
Yeah.
And you put it with the strong male plants, but let's just say you have one strain, right?
Mm-hmm.
And let's just say it's an indica, right? It's a strong indica, and let's say we want to kind of soften it up, right? So then what we do is bring in a strong sativa, right? Mother is going to be, well, let's just say there's a sativa male, right? Then what we do is, bring that sativa male into the indica mother, right? And then boom, there you go.
That's almost like 2 twins, but with they're fraternal. One is looks like the father, and the other looks like the mother.
Yeah, honestly, it's trippy, and people. Some of the growers, that's how they learn, is they make a mistake, and that mistake becomes something great. Oh shoot!
Say, damn, man, this shit's good here.
Yeah, people do that, and then they germinate it, like accidentally, and then they get a seed, and they're like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna pop this seed to see what kind of plant this is, right? But then the only way for you to know is you have to harvest it all the way, to see what you get at the end. Okay, and that's how hybrids are born.
So is that why? Because like when I was growing up, man, you go and get you a lid, and that was what you got. And I think we had that and skunk weed and some other weed.
Those are probably trash, people just outside out of their backyard, toss some seeds there, let the sun and rain, take care of its own. I mean that's natural, yes,
And now they got every kind of strain you could think of, man. They even got flavored weed.
Oh, yeah. I don't know about those flavored weeds, I mean, when I did it in 2008, 2009, I think where the really real strains were there. Okay, because not a lot of people knew how to play with it, right?
Right.
And then all these youngsters came in, and they start doing this and that, and then next thing you know, they start putting names to it.
all these botanologists.
I'm a little disappointed that it went that route, right? But then, it has to go like that, right? It has to.
Well, because now you got like every dispensary I've gone to, they all have different kinds of flavors and brands and strains and things that they use, and everybody's different. I'm saying, man, where they get all these different strains and stuff, and how did they all come about? But now you're explaining a little bit how they coming about.
Yeah.
So so now the plants that you did, how many strains did you end up getting out of all your plants?
Well, I was working with one strain at that time, and those were New York sour diesels, okay, original New York sour diesels. And you know, I got very lucky that I met a great person to teach me.
Yeah.
He was, like I said, he made me do everything on my own, but he gave me a lot of good advices. Okay, that was the key. He said, you know, if you make a mistake, don't panic, right? Try to figure out what went wrong.
Well, sometimes that's the best learning is trial and error.
Right,
You know?
right. You know, and you know, like I said, I was pretty lucky on like my experiences, you know, in my grow room, where I didn't have that many faults, right?
Right.
Because I did so much research before, you know, and it's not about researching how, you know, what the way, you know, you can grow to become like the best grower, you know. It's not best grower. Everybody is a good grower, okay? There's talents everywhere, and especially the OGs, you know. The OG ones, gosh, they are absolutely phenomenal, okay?
Yeah.
I mean, that's something that's like really like no price to us, priceless, you know. It's so beautiful, and the way, like, it's hard to describe it, you know. Nowadays it's like when I medicate, it's like I'm not even sure, you know, like if this is good, if they did everything properly,
Right.
you know.
So once you started learning how to you know, plant these seeds and sprout them and
Yeah. So you know, from the garage, you know, I succeeded. So I ended up getting about 5,000 square feet warehouse. Now this was in 2009, right? That was my very first commercial grow. So I started with a 50 line. All right, I was getting ballsy, right? So I was like, okay, you know, if I'm gonna do this, I gotta do it right?
Right.
So, you know, me being in the real estate industry, it was easy for me to get a place, right? And it was perfect because it was right behind the what do you call those golf places?
Oh yeah. It was a driving range or miniature golf.
Not miniature golf, but not driving range, but a golf, not resort, but you know, place where you play golf.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway, those golf parks. Yes, you cut grass every day. So I mean, it was just a perfect place. You know what? People think it's really easy, and we make so much money, but honestly, that's not the case, right? It's a lot of work.
Well, it takes money to make money. So I mean, I'm sure you have to a facility. You have to put in lighting, temperature control, and things like that.
Yes, and if you make one mistake, right, it can kill your entire plant. That's how sensitive these grows are.
Really?
Yes. Okay. So let's just say, you know, your you know, electrical wiring, you didn't do a great job, as in you didn't spend that much money, you know, doing it, right? Well, shouldn't do that, you know, especially for indoor grow, you know, for electronics and electrical, make
Right.
sure that you spend that money and make it, you know, make it perfect, you know, because that's huge.
So what does it take to put a growing warehouse like that and stuff? I mean, what would the cost be into putting something like that together?
Well, I mean, for example, let's calculate something. Okay, let's just say you're leasing a building about 5,000 square feet, right? And okay, let's just say legally, right?
Yeah.
And you're paying, I don't know, let's just say $1 per square footage, okay? So you're paying $5,000 every month, number one. Okay. Now, depending on how many lights you have, right?
Right.
Now, remember, each one of these lamps, right? They're 1,000 watts, up to 1,200 watts. Okay. I mean,
Wow.
I don't use 1,200 watts, right? But I do have to use the 1,000 watts, right? So now you gotta think about paying the electricity, right? So if you have, let's just say 50 lights, that's 50,000 watts.
Wow.
Of electricity.
Yeah, that's a lot of electricity.
Less. So let's just say it's gonna be about $5,000-6,000. Okay, $5,000-6,000 for electricity, because I mean, unless you really, I mean, back in the days, they just had it on all day long, and they just, it just drains it. Instead, now everybody's calculative. I mean, they're smarter now, right? So they know how to balance it and use the daytime, to the daytime, nighttime to the nighttime, and like using the off, right? Like instead of using all 50 lights in one room, right?
Yeah.
It's better to divide it and then use it, at an off peak. That's
okay.
Okay. So, those are the things that you want to calculate before you do a grow, right? And then also, now you have to get the tables, for the trays and all the, back then when I did it, I didn't use drip system. Okay. I didn't use any automated system. I had to do everything by hand, right? So that means mixing in the nutrients in 50-gallon, those trash cans with wheels, right? And then getting a 500-gallon, tank and mixing in your nutrients there, and then putting it and then transferring it into your 50-gallon, trash cans, and moving it into each room using, what do you call those? Pumps, right?
Right.
And then the, I mean, that is probably the best way to grow, because you will get the best harvest through that. Because, I mean, you're all hands-on. You're checking all the temperature, you're checking off the runoffs, the ppm, pH, all of that, right? Everything is controlled by you, so, it's easier. Automated systems, yeah, I mean, they're great, but sometimes it can go wrong.
Oh, really?
Yes, it can. Okay. So, and that's a touch of a button, right? But then, like seriously, doing a 50 light by hand, no automation, like, I think like I would have my day job, right? And then late at night around 11 o'clock, I will go in, right? And then stay in there till 4 o'clock in the morning.
Good grief. That sounds like me in the studio. I'm there all night till 4 in the morning.
Yeah. But you know what I felt during that time? It was, during the daytime, it's so busy, and, just like everything is just crowded,
Right.
But once I stepped inside that grow room, it's like serenity, it's peace. Just you and the girls, right?
Yeah.
And so, like, and it's just, it's like intimate. We become intimate. Like, I know what the girls need, regards to whether the leaves curl up or they turn yellow or anything, if the runoff is bad, or, just it's, and I'll tell you, it's just like raising kids. If you raise kids with love, patience, right? They grow up to be fine young men and women, right?
Yeah.
That knows how to socialize and also give back love and patience, right? So, and so it's just like that. When you're in the grow room, right?
Right.
I would turn on the music and, like, and I would get intimate with the girls, and it's like I said, it's very rejuvenating when you're in there.
Well, that's usually your best time you can concentrate. I know most of my creative time is late at night until 4 in the morning. That's when I write my books. That's when I write my music, because that's me time. That's
Right,
time
right,
where I can just get away from it and not have to be bothered by people.
right,
So
right. But you know what? With everything, if you're passionate about something, I became passionate about. First I got into it because, of course, hey, money growing on trees, come on, that's a no-brainer, right?
yeah,
So, I like to always, like if there's an opportunity, I never let an opportunity go. Whether it fails or succeeds, like I have to try it, you know?
that's
So,
called tenacity.
yes. And so with that, I just became very passionate about growing. And not only that, yeah, it's great and great money and but then it all depends how great the
Yeah,
product is, the end product, right? I mean, because just because it looks fat or the nugs are great, and it smells great, that doesn't mean that it smokes great.
right, right. It could be harsh or something.
I mean, I've seen I smoked so many, I tried so many other people, flowers. That's what we do, cultivators, we, share each other's product,
Right.
and basically rate them, right? As in, oh, what is this feeling? This this is very euphoric, or whoa, this is a couch hugger, or something,
Yeah.
And then the harshness and the flavor. It's like with guys and cigars, or guys with who's
I got my Cubans.
who knows how to drink cognacs, or what is that other or is it a whiskey, right?
Yeah. I'm
I
a
mean,
I'm a cognac guy. I cognac in my cigars and I'm in heaven.